Hi, I'm Dr. Matt Paproth here today to teach you in 10 minutes or less about what rhetorical analysis is, why it's important, and how you can start to use the concepts in everyday life. I want to start by showing you the rhetorical triangle, which does indeed sound quite boring, but I will bring it to life here in about 90 seconds, I hope. So, to understand the rhetorical triangle, we need to start by understanding rhetoric. Rhetoric is a field of study, and the core of it is this. Rhetoricians believe that every act of communication is an argument. We are arguing something every time that we communicate with another person. Sometimes it's really obvious. A political ad, for example, is quite explicitly making an argument for your vote. A magazine essay might be arguing that we should take climate change seriously and that we should do something about it. But it's not always so cut and dry. Sometimes we're just making an argument for our audience's attention or for their laughter. If I tell someone a joke, I'm arguing that what I'm saying is funny with the goal of the listener laughing and maybe thinking I'm funny. If I tell my wife about my day, I'm arguing that something of interest happened or implicitly that she should care about what happened to me during that day. So I'm about to mention Aristotle, which honestly will make you either turn this off or speed me up or do whatever it will let you do.
But Aristotle created this triangle thousands of years ago. We're still using it today. And the idea is that anytime we communicate, we appeal to our readers or listeners in these three ways.
The first is called ethos, or the ethical appeal. And basically that means that we cultivate a persona when we communicate, a way that we want people to perceive us. We probably all want to be seen as credible, reliable, engaged, and other things depending on our personality and what we're trying to communicate at the time. Sometimes we might want to appear conversational and relaxed. Other times we might want to seem professional or even a bit detached or unemotional, depending on the circumstance. And how do we do this? Well, of course, it depends what we're trying to do, of course, but mostly it's about bringing ourselves into the communicative act, stating our own credentials as part of it, letting our audience know explicitly why they should trust us and follow us down whatever rabbit hole we're taking them. If we're using sources, ethos includes using reputable sources. If it's a written document, ethos is about proofreading. If it's spoken, it's about being clear, precise, and careful with our words. It's also about acknowledging counterargument and counter-perspectives, which makes you appear trustworthy and honest. So then there's pathos, which is the emotional appeal, and is all about connecting emotionally with our audience. This is about knowing what your audience values and kind of leaning into that. Pathos is about connecting with the audience using emotion, often expressed through vivid language, figurative language, metaphors, similes, comparisons. That is one method of establishing pathos. It brings something to life in the mind of the listener. Anecdotal evidence is another part of pathos. The argument about climate change, for example, is scientific and potentially very abstract. But if the author cites a specific detail or story about an atypical weather pattern that led to people dying or a particularly high temperature that the audience can imagine, that detail alone shouldn't make a listener believe in climate change, but it might make it resonate, and that is what pathos is all about. Finally, we have logos, which is the logical dimension, and this is all about the meat. It's all about the content, about facts, statistics, information. It's about reliable sources and having great content coming out of them. The other thing to know about logos is that it deals with the structure of the communication. If you have an appropriate structure with strong transitions and signal phrases and signposting, that means you're using logos effectively. Also, you want to avoid logical fallacies, which you might have heard of in math class or somewhere else, but those just mean that you've built your argument wrong. There are like a dozen common logical fallacies. One is slippery slope, another is straw man, ad hominem. I could do a whole video just on those. But the point is to avoid using them as part of the construction of your argument. The last and probably most important thing to know about the rhetorical triangle is that communication works best when we use all these appeals in balance with one another. Most of us do this all the time and without thinking about it. But there is a benefit to thinking about it, which is that you can consciously balance these elements when you communicate. It also makes you a better reader when other people are communicating. So we're going to practice. In fact, we're going to practice on me here using this video as the rhetorical act. So I want you to get ready to hit pause so you can stop and think. You're going to pause so that you can stop and think about what I've been doing. All right, here we go. So, ethos. Remember, this is the ethical dimension, the way that you perceive me. Are you pausing? Did you pause? Have you paused? Okay. All right, you're back. Did you get a snack? I would have. Okay, so how do I want to be perceived? You might look at how I'm dressed. This would be part of ethos in my overall demeanor. Clearly, hopefully, you think that I want to be seen as funny, as I've used various ways of making you laugh with the crawler, with images, with, various other methods. I bring up my wife and son repeatedly, which I hope humanizes me, but I also introduce myself as doctor to establish credibility. I make the video slick and well edited, I hope, to make you confident that I know what I'm doing. Now we're going to turn to pathos. And so as you look at how I made this video, what do I think? What do you think I think you out there value? What am I concerned in you about appealing to? Okay, now's the time to pause. If you're really practicing, you're paused, you're going again. Okay, so your time is something I think you value, so I'm not messing about here. I mentioned that I believe your time is valuable right at the beginning and that I promise to move quickly. I set a specific time so that you know I mean business. I hope when I edit this video that I'll find that I've met that time promise. I hope that you value humor, because if you don't, then I've been wasting at least a little of your time with the humorous elements that I've been tossing in here. The family elements that I bring in, which as I just said, are part of my ethos, are also part of pathos because I think you'll connect with me through them. I hope that you will. So my hope is that if I nail these elements that I'm pretty sure you do value, then you'll follow me along to learn about rhetoric, which I'm just assuming you don't value all that much, even if you should. And of course, if you do, then all the better. You'll be even more excited about this video, I hope. All right, finally, logos. What is the logos here in this video? And that honestly should be the easiest to identify. So I'm going to give you just a second to stop and think. You, of course, can pause this. Now you can get it going again. Did you pause it? Now get it going. All right. So what do you think? The logos, of course, is the content. So it's the rhetorical triangle itself. It's the information all around it that I'm trying to give you, the methods for establishing it. In terms of this video, it's that content, but it's also then the structure of how I've chosen to teach it to you. And so how did I do that? Well, the structure here was, in the first half of the video, I presented you with all the information. And now here at this moment, I'm giving you your first chance to apply that information to an actual rhetorical act. Again, the first half of this video. So effective communication is all about balance. It's about using all of these techniques together in a way that is satisfying to your audience, that presents you as a credible, reliable authority, and that presents your information or perspective in a logical and appropriate way. So I hope that gives you a down and dirty overview of the rhetorical triangle and why it's important. You can use it to analyze literally any act of communication that you're making. I'm going to wrap this up because I value your time. So I hope that you take care, and thanks for listening.